Hello everyone. Today's webinar will cover reconciling your trust account. To everyone who has attended previous webinars, welcome back. And for newcomers, we're glad you could join us. My name is Ryan Groff and I am the lead product advocate at Leap US. I develop these webinars with our practice management advisors who work closely with every Leap user to provide best practices so everyone gets the most out of every feature in Leap. A few quick notes before we begin. This webinar will run for approximately 20 minutes in listen-only mode. Computer audio is the only listening option. Phone audio is not available for this presentation. This webinar is offered for training and educational purposes and is not legal advice. We will respond to common questions towards the end of this webinar. Full instructions for all that is discussed today can be found on the Leap community. And, as always, please contact consultants at leap.us if you require more advanced training tailored to your needs. The topics we will cover today include the following parts of the trust reconciliation process: getting started, reviewing your bank statement, additions and interest, and reports. All right, we need to review a few things as we're getting started. At the most basic level, trust reconciliation matches what has been paid and received in the Leap trust account with what has been paid and received in your bank account. When these match, your trust account is reconciled. But why do we do this? Trust reconciliation is required and efficient. Individual jurisdictions may have different rules, but reconciliation is a required form of control that aligns your client's money with your client's matters. And efficiency means your accounts are regularly cleaned, so any errors are caught early and you experience a shorter, more manageable process. And this results in accounts that are reliable to partners and clients alike. Good fiscal management always improves business operations. Before you start reconciliation, complete all transactions, receive payments, make payments, and create trust bank deposits. Then, get your bank statement. You cannot reconcile without the bank statement for the month you are reconciling. You can bring it up on screen or have the physical statement in hand. All right, so let's talk through these steps in Leap. First, like we said, make sure to complete all trust transactions, including receive payments, make payments, and create trust bank deposits. Complete means that each transaction has been saved and closed. You may also want to open your bank account register to see the transactions that are in Leap. Next, go to the Leap menu Accounting tab, find the Trust Accounting section and click Reconcile Account. This is the bank reconciliation window. The information on this screen is very important, so we will review each part. First, if you have multiple trust accounts, you will see a drop-down in the upper left corner of this window. If you only have one trust account, like I do, you will not see this drop-down. Second, you will see two main sections within the reconciliation: additions and transactions. The additions section acts as an on-screen ledger book. The transactions section lists transactions in your Leap trust account. Third, on the right side, you will notice two sections: bank and cash book. You will update the bank section with information from the bank statement for this reconciliation. The statement date is the ending date on the bank statement. The statement balance is the ending balance on the bank statement. The variance is the calculated balance less the statement balance. If it is not zero when you finish matching the transactions in Leap with the transactions on your statement, then there is a discrepancy. The cash book shows the system and reconciled cash books. The system cash book represents the total value of all transactions in Leap for this bank account, reconciled or not, as at the statement date. The reconciled cash book represents the statement balance increased by reconciled receipt transactions, so money coming in, and decreased by reconciled withdrawal transactions, money going out. The variance is reconciled cash book balance less system cash book balance. If it is not zero when you finish matching the transactions in Leap with the transactions on your statement, then there is a discrepancy. Fourth, take a look at the two lines just below the cash book section. Additions keeps track of how many additions you have. That's the number in parentheses, and the total dollar amount of these transactions. The last reconciled date reminds you when you last reconciled this bank account. Finally, at the bottom are two buttons. Save for later should be used often to make sure you save your progress in this particular reconciliation session. Reconcile should only be used at the end of a month and clicked once when you are sure you are ready to reconcile, because reconciliation is irreversible. Now it's time to begin reviewing your bank statement. This is where we do the substantive work of trust reconciliation. I'm going to bring my bank statement up on screen. First, we want to enter the statement date and statement balance. Remember, these are the ending date and ending balance on the bank statement. When you set these fields, you're telling Leap's bank reconciliation tool where you want to go. We want to reconcile up to the statement date, and we want to reconcile up to the ending amount on the bank's statement. I'm going to set April 30 as the statement date because that's the ending date on my bank statement. I'm going to enter $7,057,571.30 as my statement balance because that's the ending balance on my bank statement. Note, the variances immediately change. This is because the calculated balance was reconciled to the prior statement balance, meaning the end of the prior month's bank statement. We no longer want to reconcile to the end of the prior month. We want to reconcile to the end of this month. As soon as you change the statement date, all of the transactions for that month appear in transactions. Second, we will begin selecting the transactions listed on the Leap bank reconciliation that correspond with the transactions on the bank statement. Three things to note as we do this. First, as you select transactions on the Leap bank reconciliation, the variance difference should be decreasing or moving towards zero. Second, it is a good idea to indicate which bank statement transactions you have already viewed. As you can see, I'm using the strike-through tool in my PDF viewer, Adobe Acrobat DC. Third, you do not have to click the actual checkbox in order to select a transaction. Just click the row, and Leap will capture your selection. This saves some time because you don't have to try to get the mouse pointer within the boundaries of the small checkbox on each row. As you move through your statement, you will come across transactions that are within the date range of the bank statement, but do not appear on the statement from the bank. If it is a deposit, this suggests a reversal. If it is a withdrawal, then this could be an unpresented check or a reversal. Unpresented checks stay unchecked. To easily find a reversal, I like to use Control F to find the transaction code because a reversal will use the same transaction code as the transaction it is reversing. This transaction is REC 1215. So I press Control F, I enter REC 1215 in the search box that appears, and sure enough, there's another transaction with the same code. When I go to that code, I can see it was a reversal for the exact same amount. So I will select both the original and the reversed transaction because these cancel each other out. Continuing along. All right, so I found all the transactions on my statement. While neither variance is zero, we have finished the step of reviewing the transactions on the bank statement. Next, we need to discuss additions and interest. Additions are ledger notes. Additions represent transactions on the bank statement that need more research. Now might not be the best time, so bookkeepers can use an addition to track an uncleared check or an unexpected receipt. But additions should always be connected in some way to a transaction on your bank statement. Said differently, additions are not randomly entered numbers to bring a variance to zero. And this is because additions entered during bank reconciliation become part of the bank reconciliation report that's produced when we click Reconcile. In this way, additions become permanent record. Reconciling trust account interest provides a perfect example of how additions work a little bit differently than transactions. As we see, our variance is not yet zero, and that's because we did not enter the interest transactions listed on our bank statement. So we do so as additions. As you can see, the variance is now zero. However, trust account interest can also be entered and tracked using the IOLTA interest matter. If you want to track trust account interest in this way, the email following today's webinar will include a link for how to create an IOLTA interest matter. Once the matter is created, just search for it. Open the matter, go to the Trust Funds tab, and enter the relevant transactions in the Trust Account subtab. As we said, using the IOLTA interest matter is another way of tracking the interest transactions on your bank statement. You would not use both an IOLTA interest matter and additions to enter interest transactions. Interest is one common reason to use additions, but additions are also helpful in other situations, including unpresented checks received, entered as deposit additions, or uncashed checks, entered as withdrawal additions. Additions are also helpful when you transition to Leap. Leap transitions your data as if all transactions have already cleared the bank. For this reason, after installation, some transactions may be incomplete. Use additions to track these transactions until they clear the bank. Our last topic is reports. Once all transactions are matched and variances are zero, you are ready to click Reconcile. The bank reconciliation report is produced after you click Reconcile. Save this in your records, and it's also a good idea for owners to sign and date. This period is now locked. But in addition to the bank reconciliation report, Leap End of Month, or EOM, reports provide information to manage your trust accounts, including the following reports: General EOM, Account EOM, and View Previous Trust Account EOMs. Briefly, let's look at January's report from 2020. Before we get to questions and best practice tips, I'd like to briefly review the topics we covered today: getting started, reviewing your bank statement, additions and interest, and reports. Finally, we would like to provide some best practice tips. These are a result of countless hours spent advising law firm owners and bookkeepers. The goal is to help you avoid unnecessary stress. First, like we said near the beginning, use the Save for Later button often. This is especially helpful if you need to step away from the bank reconciliation window for a longer period of time due to some research on a particular transaction or transactions. Second, never create additions that are not directly related to a transaction on your bank statement. Remember, additions are temporary ledger notes, but additions are only entered when they are related to known transactions on the bank statement. Additions do become permanent record once you press Reconcile. Third, For unknown transactions, do not, and I repeat, do not get in the practice of logging all of these in a matter titled something like unknown deposits. Instead, use an addition to make a note of the deposit, which you can then erase later once you have entered the transaction in a leap matter. Fourth, and relatedly, if a deposit is missing, but you can see the deposit in the leap matter, make sure to create a new bank deposit. Entering a deposit in the leap matter is the first of a two-step process. Creating a new bank deposit is the second step. You create a new bank deposit by going to the Leap Menu Accounting tab, find the Trust Accounting section, and click New Bank Deposit. When you complete this process, the transaction will appear as a transaction on your trust account bank reconciliation. Fifth, we mentioned this earlier, but it's a really good habit to adopt. When you are finished with your reconciliation each month, have the law firm owners at your firm sign and date the bank reconciliation report. Some states require law firm owners to have specific involvement with their trust accounts, and this may help meet this obligation. Sixth, when possible, print all trust checks and receipts directly from Leap. This avoids data entry errors associated with manual transactions, and this is one of the most important reasons you use Leap, and that is, keep everything you need to run your law firm from anywhere in one place. Before we conclude, please consider the following resources at community.leap.us. News and Announcements explains the newest updates. If you are experiencing a technical issue, click Support at the bottom of the Leap community screen. If you need to learn how to use a certain feature, please visit the knowledge base for step-by-step training articles. You may also view training webinars and videos. Webinars like this one are held the last Thursday of every month at 12:30 p.m. As always, follow Leap User Info on social media for the most up-to-date information on every feature in Leap. Thank you for joining me, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.